For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Coming up on the broadcast, we'll tell you about this election budget and a whole lot more between now and about 10 minutes after 2 o'clock this afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, NewsSpin, on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. My name is Timothy Poleon. In a moment, your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And Amanda will be going through some of your comments in the chat room. The credibility of this fiscal package definitely must come into question. Because from day one, the people of St. Lucia have been clamoring for reprieve after reprieve from this government, what the old people refer to as soulagement, a little break, to be assuaged. Because of high inflation manifesting itself on a daily basis at the various supermarkets, the high cost of fuel at the pump. And so the government was doing us lungi, baiting us. And anyone who is sensible enough, who has been following the politics over the last few years, would have realized that by year 4, the government would have been making some concessions to the people of this country. And that is because they believe you have a short memory and you have a short attention span. So all of a sudden, without explaining to the taxpayers of this country where the money will come from, a lot of what you've been asking for, all of a sudden, you are receiving it quite easily. Or you're being promised. So you're being promised that instead of the 5-year passport, you'll be getting a 10-year passport. And a particular government tried her best to convince you that the government could not have done anything about this issue that you were clamoring against, you're complaining against. Why 5 years compared to a number of other territories where people have their passports being valid for 10 years? And they would not budge. All of a sudden, a few weeks after the opposition United Workers' Party said that it would be, if elected into office, reverting to a 10-year passport, boom, we hear from the Prime Minister of the day that very soon you get your 10-year passport. People are complaining about the cost, moving from $80 to $250. An explanation was given for this. There's a breakdown. How much you're paying, you could pay on a daily basis compared to how much you pay on a yearly basis, etc. So as we're getting all set for general election, and all those promises are being made to you, the voters of this country, a lot of you are convinced, who are applauding the government for those concessions. You're not asking yourself a critical question, because many of you have been around. You're getting set maybe to participate in your 4th and 5th general election. Where will the money come from to finance this election budget? Because governments normally give with one hand and they take with the other. Because in this part of the world, our governments have not been creative enough to come up with mechanisms that are sustainable, whereby the majority of its finances and revenue to keep the government afloat is not generated by taxes. And so with great ease is tax after tax after tax being imposed on the people of this country. And a number of people tell you they don't pay taxes. We all pay taxes. You go to the supermarket, there's a levy. There's a VAT on certain items that you purchase. And in some instances, there's some things that you have to purchase. This 2.5% levy, compounded tax, has taken a toll on many people in this country. Even when you go to Kentucky, KFC, to purchase items. If you have a phone, you pay credit on the services being provided to you. And so the big question is, what will happen going forward? How will the government recoup those finances down the road? People don't want to ask that question. And yesterday, a couple of people wanted to bait me. I didn't take it. Because you go to you in a certain environment and people come and ask you questions. What do you think about the budget? It's a setup. I always tell people, in such environments, I'm not being paid to opine. I'm not being paid to be frustrated. And so I did not take the bait. Because what I would have said was, you guys are not asking the critical questions. You'll pay temporary teachers. You'll do this. You'll do that. Etc., etc. Where will the money come from? That's the big question. Let's ask yourself that as a citizen. And also the Prime Minister and Minister with responsibility for finance has been explaining the delay in that Uranora International Airport. We will take you down memory lane. and a particular individual will assist us in doing that. But first, let us hear from the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the adjustments that were made from that of the previous administration in taking that project and the new arrangements that are being instituted by this Philip J. Pierre administration.
Allow me to remind members that the SLB administration between the years 2012 and 2016 pursued the redevelopment of HIA through a public-private partnership. Mr. Speaker, in the public-private partnership arrangement, the taxpayer would not incur any contingent liability. We worked with the International Financial Corporation, the IFC, an arm of the World Bank, to provide professional expertise for the planning and procurement process for HIA. In 2015, the PPP had reached the stage where it was ready to be executed. With a change of government in 2016, the PPP process was cancelled, costing the government millions of dollars, including a fine from the IFC. The then government pursued a debt finance model for the development of HIA. They did this by seeking out 3 loans for the passenger terminal complex. $1, $100 million from the Export-Import Bank of the Republic of China, Taiwan. 2, the $75 million from a consortium of local banks led by the Bank of St. Lucia. And 3, $45 million from the World Bank for CADCOP aimed at upgrading the runway and airside interventions. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, our government engaged in 2 reviews, one by a group of local professionals, and secondly, a review by international airport consultants. Some of the findings of the review are: 1, the contractor, Overseas Engineering Construction Company, OECC, was chosen by one man, the former Prime Minister. 2, there was no competitive tendering for the selection of the contractor. 3, the terms of the loan dictated that a specific contractor be engaged. 4, apart from the normal interest charges on the loan, there was an additional 8% to be paid to the contractor on every disbursement, meaning that the true cost of the loan could be as much as 13% when you add it to the loan interest of 5%. Noticeably absent was a detailed bill of quantities for the terminal building, but rather a rough order of magnitude estimates. The project costs on the foundation package had increased by a factor of 10, from EC 4.8 million to EC 48 million. The original design called for 311 plus tiles, but 311 piles, but increased to 3,006 piles due to the change of location based on a decision by the former Prime Minister. Based on the review, the cost of the terminal building at this time would have been EC $1 billion had we followed their plan. There was never any recorded concerns about closing the airport operations at the airport to facilitate construction. Mr. Speaker, the government could not, in good conscience, allow this arrangement to proceed under these conditions. Mr. Speaker, the consultants provided SLASPA with 3 options. After discussion, the option chosen was a scale down of the terminal size built on part of the constructed foundation and the removal of the elevated roadway while keeping modern amenities like jet bridges, etc. After a competitive bidding process, Mr. Speaker, a quantity surveying firm was chosen to prepare the bill of quantities. The certified bill of quantities was received on 17 December 2024, and reviewed by SLASPA on 30th January 2025. The requests for proposals through an open tender process will be advertised in the coming weeks. Mr. Speaker, it is regrettable that the process has taken some time. However, as a responsible government, we could not pursue what would arguably have been the largest infrastructure project ever undertaken in this country under these conditions. We are currently exploring all financial options, including a renegotiation of the present debt financing as well as a PPP model. Mr. Speaker, let me assure the public of St. Lucia that the Iwanoa Airport Terminal building will be constructed with full transparency, accountability, and in tune with the needs of the country. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, work on the control tower is continuing or will continue with a new contractor. Mr. Speaker, the upgrading of the runway to be compliant with world standards will continue under the World Bank project, which will be consistent with International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO standards.
The Prime Minister speaking on Tuesday of this week while delivering his budget address. It was in 2022, in the aftermath of the changes that were announced by the new St. Lucia Labour Party administration regarding the HIA redevelopment project, that a former chairman of the tenders board of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority hosted a press conference to address this issue. That was in 2022. And this press conference over the last few days has been in circulation. This individual is Oswald Augustine, once again former chairman of the tenders board of the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority.
As the ex-chairman of the tenders committee of SLASPA, when I heard the PM's remarks, I said, no, I have to do something. I am not doing it on behalf of any political party, but I am doing it as a St. Lucian. In the same way, I disagreed when St. Jude was stopped for a considerable amount of time, instead of trying to complete or to start doing whatever should have been done early enough so we could have had a hospital in time before the next election. I am also upset with the way the Prime Minister got on. Firstly, he spoke about the last government, and particularly he spoke about Alan Chasney moving the location of where the airport should have been to another location closer to DSH. I find, and instead of using 300 piles, which was supposed to have been used, they ended up using 3,000 plus piles. Let me say to you, our biggest earner is tourism. If you had to redevelop an airport, you cannot redevelop an airport the same spot where the present airport is without having to close it down. Number one. And they took quite a few aspects in consideration to move from where they wanted to move from one airport to another. In 2006, it was more like renovating the existing airport. This time, it's a new airport, and for various reasons, it was shifted. One, you cannot close down your airport. Two, you have home porting. You had the cruise ships. They're going to have a new cruise ship berths in Viewfort and whatnot, and then you wanted to make it easier. So straight from the airport, you could use the new highway and then move straight into the docks. But again, to make cheap political points, the Prime Minister said many things. He also said that there was no tendering for the project. The Exim Bank of Taiwan borrowed the government of St. Lucia. In other words, you could say SLASPA, $100 million, which would go towards the building of that airport. The SLASPA took that loan.
conditions for that loan was Exim Bank would have provided the contractor. If you didn't use their contractor, because they want to see how the money is being spent, they wanted a contractor whom they were comfortable with. So the contract was given to OECC, which is a Taiwanese firm. SLASPA was still short because they needed something like 175 million. So they went to Bank of St. Lucia. A consortium of banks, Bank of St. Lucia brought in other banks, and a consortium of banks decided that they would loan the balance of the monies. Vetting went through, checks and balances. They did the checks and balances. It cost SLASPA a whole lot of money for lawyers having to vet. They had to vet. They had to. You would know that when you borrow money, you have to spend money to borrow money because lawyers are always involved. And with that sum of money which you are going to borrow, it is going to cost you money. You have to pay the bank's lawyer. You have to pay your lawyer. Okay, so that's money which you have already spent. You also have the foundation. The foundation was already commenced. The foundation, which they did 3,000 and something piles. I can't remember the figure, but it was in excess of 3,000. Was for a terminal of a certain size. You put a review commission in place, review and investigative commission in place, which I guess most of you know about, to look at the airport. The report from that committee has not been sent to the media, have not been sent to anyone, but there is a report. St. Lucians must demand that they know what is in that report. Because I can tell you that the negotiations was made overboard. The other thing he said was that there was cost overruns on the foundation. I want him to point out to St. Lucians where was the cost overrun, because the foundation was made in record time within budget. If you want to go the way of IFC and have a PPP, do your thing, but do not lie on a board who worked hard, the management of SLASPA who worked very hard, and there was a dedicated unit which oversaw the HIA project. You had AAAA, you had a project coordinator, a St. Lucian whom the Americans use well for even when they want to build their airports. Antigua and the whole Jamaica, a whole lot of other countries using that same St. Lucia coordinator. You know, why are you doing that to St. Lucians? We are all St. Lucians. The airport has cost us quite a bit of money. Every day that airport stays there with all these contracts being signed, there is money to be paid. You are paying money. You are the one wasting St. Lucian's money. Not SLASPA. You are the one doing it. Your government is doing it by stopping the airport. All these stoppages like the road, the Castries Grosley road, which was stopped. I mean, that is ridiculous. The housing projects which was stopped, that's ridiculous. It is costing the government money. And it is time the media and St. Lucians start asking the government, how much is it costing St. Lucia for these stoppages?
So then how should we designate you now in this capacity in which you speak?
As you could designate me as the past chairman of the tenders committee for SLASPA. Okay? And there are other board members who sat on that committee who are still on the board, but by virtue of them working with government, they will not come out and say anything. But I know how embarrassed they feel by the statement made by the Prime Minister. We are all St. Lucians. We want good for St. Lucia. The comment, that airport, they spoke about it. The plans for the new airport came about in 2006. We know what happened with asphalt and mining, I think they call them. That the airport never took place because a lot of people would doubt as to whether that company would have been able to build that airport, and other shenanigans which was going on, a lot of people were not comfortable with it. There was the airport development tax. I want you to remember that. There was the airport development tax, which was going to pay for that airport. So it means that it's the traveling public would have been paying for that airport. When the SLP came in 2011, they stopped it. There were a few millions of dollars of money in the kitty. It was spent. Now, 2016, a new government came in. Plans, they started the airport about 3 years after they came in, trying to give us that airport which we so desire. We need it. We have been left behind. Barbados have, Antigua has theirs, Bahamas, everywhere. We have an airport which would have taken us to a good few years beyond. A good few years beyond. But when you tell me you want to go with a PPP with IFC, when they're going to own your airport and then give it back to you 30 years after, that's madness. Because 30 years after, you will be paying for a lot of maintenance.
There's something wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
30 years after. 30 years after, you will be paying for maintenance. And again, it's not the government's, the taxpayers' money paying for the airport. It is the traveling public that's paying for the airport. Why go PPP? Okay, the banks would not have given us money if they didn't know how we would have paid it. We're talking about the bigger your airport, the more people go through your airport, the more money you make.
You just heard there from Mr. Oswald Augustine, former chairman of the Tenders Committee of the St. Lucia Airport and St. Lucia Airport Authority and Seaports Authority. Now, this press conference he hosted was in 2022. And by the way, parliamentarians just took a break for lunch, and at 10 minutes before 1 o'clock this afternoon, on the premise of lunch, but it's basically to listen to NewsSpin. 452-2979, 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026, 716-2026. And of course, Amanda, going through some of the comments in the chat room, I think you might have an update for us right now, Amanda. A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Tim. Good afternoon, New Spinners. A few comments from earlier in the chat room. Someone says here, government needs to be responsive. Let us compliment the government for doing the right thing. Another comment reads, Tim, it is not a budget presentation of how the funds were spent, but just an election manifesto to once again fool the people. NewsSpin says, Tim, wasn't it an SLP government official in 2003 that stopped paying temporary teachers in August? Another comment reads, this budget is for the people. Someone says there our CIP plus tax monies is expected to finance these initiatives. Another comment reads, UWP, it's time to turn up the heat on your campaign. A NewsSpinner says they will not incur contingent liability, but they will incur some kind of liability. So the question is, what liability will they incur? Another comment reads, we have an airport terminal. All we need to do is expand and upgrade. Someone says there it took you 4 years to tell us about that airport. By the way, how much will it cost since you dragged your feet on the HIA project? Another comment reads, you cannot be transparent with GPH, but you want to tell us you will be transparent with the airports. ICAO standards for the airports, but not international standards for our hospitals. Another comment reads, I hope the transparency will not be like the transparency of the $80 million for the stadium. And a comment in the chat room here says, Dominica, Antigua, St. Vincent, Barbuda, Anguilla, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago have all invested in new airports in recent years. Barbados is about to upgrade again. We behind like Tutalo. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Some more updates coming up. In the meantime, let's see if we have a call on the landline. In the meantime, let's go through also a WhatsApp message. My father, an 83-year-old man, a senior citizen, was asked to pay medical bills before he can get his prescription since he was being discharged. The hospital refused to give him the prescription. I thought there was something in place for senior citizens to be exempted from this. I asked and was told that it was a decision in Parliament, but the hospital has yet to receive any formal correspondence from the government of the day. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am. How are you?
Tim, I am fine.
And you are happy that very soon you'll have your 10-year passport.
Passport, yes, Tim. You
Okay.
remember how I clamored for that?
You did.
Right, and then the opposition, I think, came up with that about 2 months ago, and now I'm hearing our Prime Minister coming up with the same thing. But will there be a reduction in the price? The 250, did he say?
No, he did not address that aspect of it.
Okay. Team, interesting days ahead. Well, finally, whoever wins the next election, we will get a 10-year passport. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because both parties promised that. Team, again, still passport-wise, we are still delivering passport on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and collection on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just last week, I encountered somebody from the from the south of the island, and the person said they came and they were told that passport were not being collected. I think it was on Thursday, right? So for me, I'm asking, why are we still delivering passport on 3 days and collecting on 2 days? What's the holdback? Why is the passport office not fully operational on every day? That's a question for the minister. Briefcase-wise, I suppose election is coming up and we still will not hear anything of that investigation. Tim, I heard the Prime Minister, based on what you played a while ago regarding the airport, wasn't the loan from Taiwan?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So Taiwan, we can bleed Taiwan, take monies from Taiwan, but yet still we cannot take a loan from Taiwan, and we cannot take the expertise from Taiwan to build an airport for us. But yet still every day we are asking Taiwan for handouts. That's double standard. And I heard the Prime Minister talked about transparency. Is that the same kind that we are getting regarding GPH? Because up to date, I think majority of St. Lucian doesn't know anything about the deal with GPH. Is that the same transparency that we are getting for CIP, for BMAX, and Galaxy? Team, the Prime Minister is, I don't know what the Prime Minister, if he wakes up one morning and just decide, I'm going to just tell those people those things and expect them to just take it carte blanche and believe it. You know, like what Rick Wayne normally says, peace in your eyes and call it rain. I think that's one of the expressions that he uses. Team, I don't know. For me, this budget sounds like a manifesto, right? It sounds like a manifesto to me. And again, my question is, where is all of that money going to come from? That's my biggest question. Yes, he has all of those plans 4 years down the line, almost into another election. But my question is, where is that money going to come from? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much for calling, ma'am. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. I think we have a call via WhatsApp. Hello and good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Hello, good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you,
yes,
caller.
Tim, I just want to understand this, Tim. You're telling me that if a Philippe goes in the PPP, we're going to be giving our airport for 30 years again?
Haven't you been following the news?
Yeah.
Caller?
No, I didn't. It is news to my ears now, Tim.
Mm.
So I'm just wondering. So we give our ports for 40 years. We stopped the expansion in Beaufort, and look now, we're going to be giving our airport for 30 years. And I clearly remember when Alan Shastney said that he's going to give Joachim, I believe, the horse racing track with the airport and with the hotels and the expansion of Beaufort. They made a big hoorah saying, boy, we sold those guys would just sold the land, sell the land for 40 years. But the thing is, Tim, if we have land sitting there that is not being utilized, what Alan Shastney did to my right is he because like you say, you have to spend money to make money. So he told the guys, all right, I'm going to give you access to the lands for $1 an acre for 99 years. In return, the guy is going to invest over $1 billion in horse racing tracks, in hotels, the causeway to Maria Island, the upgrades of the upgrade of the ports, the hotels, and everything that's going on there. So all those billions will have a duration for 99 years. But now you're telling me we're going to sell our airports for 40 years, sell the ports, the seaports for 40 years, but it's not going to benefit St. Lucia, because at the end of the day, we can make much more money.
In the case of the seaports, caller, lease.
Mm-hmm.
Lease for 30 years with an option to renew for another 10 years.
But listen, Tim, you can claim me if I'm wrong. Who's going to get the majority of the monies when the passengers come off the ships?
GPH.
Is it GPH? Exactly. But
up to now, we have not gotten a breakdown from the government on this arrangement. The specifics.
Because and
there are many people not interested in that, They're not interested in that. The breakdown. Who is getting what? SLASPA is getting what? The government is getting what? Solid Waste is getting what? GPH is getting what?
Exactly.
Break it down.
By another question, the another thing I'm hearing, Tim, all what I'm hearing that the Prime Minister is saying is that SLASPA's debt is going to be paid. SLASPA debt is going to be paid. Okay, we understand that, but if we now, because Shasnet already expanded the port in Castries to house mega cruise ship. So now, if we was getting 500,000 people a year through the port Castries, now we're getting 1 million people, and they have a tax on each person leaving the cruise ship. So all those money is going to go to GPH. SLASPA could have managed that and pay off their tax and expand and beautify the Castries Harbour however we want it. So I do not understand what is going on. Those guys say that Shasnet was selling out the country, but I believe Philip J.P. is on a wild goose chase. Next is the Pitos. Thank God the Pitos is a heritage site, because he would have sold the Pitos next. Have a blessed day.
You do, sir. Thank you so much for calling. 452-2979. Let's see if you have a call in the landline. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Again, 716-2026. And let me see if I have a WhatsApp message. Tim, St. Lucia is the largest economy in the OECS, as the only international airport that rain stops play. If it's raining and a flight arrives, disembarking is delayed. And if you're about to board and it's raining, then you are also delayed. And let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. And somebody says there via WhatsApp, I love this lady's contribution. We need to put on the Flubbo shirts. Where is the transparency and list CIP, GPH, HIA, Galaxy, Minister of Sports, Virgin Atlantic, etc. We have a call. Good afternoon, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. You hearing me?
Mr. Guy Joseph Les, loud and clear. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes, Tim. I listened to the Prime Minister's budget speech. I must say I didn't hear the entire speech, but I heard a fair number of parts of the speech. I intend to read the speech of the Prime Minister because it has direct implications for the country. Tim, some very interesting pointers from the Prime Minister's budget. Who was it that stopped the pension of police officers and public servants from government and put it under NIC? Do you recall it?
It was an SLP administration, I think, of Dr. Kenny Anthony.
Exactly. An SLP administration with Philip J.P. seated next to Kenny Anthony when these decisions were being made. He was one of the deputy leaders of the St. Lucia Labour Party that put police officers to retire at 65, I would assume. Prior to that, every fire officer and every police officer could have retired after 20 years and get the maximum benefit. I want public servants to remember it is this same Labour Party today who want to present it as some achievement or accomplishment of something you are doing. For 22 years, Tim, this Labour Party made a decision that has impacted every public servant in this country who was employed from 2003 onward. And today you want to praise yourself for changing it for a few public servants. This government should be punished for what they have done, not praised. And Philip J. Pierre must stop pretending as if yesterday he became part of the government. The other point I wanted to touch on, Tim, how long we've been saying that the price of fuel should be capped? Every time I call your program, every time we talk about the price of fuel, and then to add insult to injury by this Labour Party, you're looking at a capping of the price at $16 a gallon, when Grenada is at $13 a gallon. So, Tim, what's the sense of capping it at 16? If the other OECS countries, all of them are cheaper than us. So you want to present this election gimmick as if you granting us a favor? And the Prime Minister told more lies about the airport. Tim, the negotiations with the Taiwanese to get the money from the Exim Bank in Taiwan was that a Taiwan contractor would be used to execute the project.
And that's exactly what was said by Mr. Oswald Augustine in that press conference of 2022.
But Tim, that is the truth. It's not a matter of, because the Prime Minister knows that every time they need a favor, they run to Taiwan. We extract money from Taiwan all the time, grant money. Maybe that's the country in the world that gives the most grants to St. Lucia. As a single country is Taiwan. And then to use a Taiwanese company. Tim, you know the same company they got rid of on the hospital project is now building a hospital in St. Kitts, the same OECC, and is building a hospital twice the size of our hospital. Tim, this Labour Party government continues to give misleading information to the people of St. Lucia. And I can tell you that GPH deal, as the callers were saying earlier, Tim, where's the transparency from the government on GPH? And where's the transparency on the airport? And they want to tell you, oh, IFC. IFC, not the same white people they don't like. You know, these double standards by this Labour Party administration, when they want to play their racist card and make it look like Alan is bad for St. Lucia, yet still you taking a group of white people to come and tell you what to do with the airport. So these can tell you what to do, but Alan Shasney cannot tell you what he thinks is best for St. Lucia. Tim, if you go, did the Prime Minister report to us on the airport development tax, how much money has been collected? Because they are boasting about the highest number of tourist arrivals. Remember, the Prime Minister said he was not going to build this big airport because it's only Alan Shasney who thinks that tourism will return to what it used to be. And today the same government is boasting about the number of passengers that are arriving. And if you are collecting $45 for the airport, for each passenger that arrives in St. Lucia, how much money has been collected? That is what the Labour Party, if you want to be transparent, say to the people of St. Lucia, look here, so far we've collected X number of millions of dollars on the airport. So it means our borrowing would be less for the airport. Tim, the Prime Minister is not being truthful. He's not being honest and upfront with the people of St. Lucia about where things are at. And I will take some time to break down a lot of the numbers, Tim, the unemployment numbers. Have you seen the Economic and Social Review, Tim?
No, I haven't.
Tim, I will make arrangements so that maybe a soft copy can be sent to you. And you would see that when they boast about unemployment numbers being down, you know the number of the workforce has gone down by a larger number than the number of jobs or the percentage of jobs created. Let me break that down, Tim. Under the previous method, everybody who was entitled to get a job and could not get a job, or was of age to get a job and could not get a job, was reckoned as part of the workforce. My understanding is in the new arrangement, if for 9 weeks or 10 weeks you have not been, let's say you for a whole year you searching for a job, and you just give up, you say, boy, no jobs available, so for the last 8 weeks you're not looking for a job. You know you're no longer considered unemployed and part of the workforce. So what has happened is the workforce has reduced by about 4,000. And then they tell you they have the lowest unemployment rate. Of course, if you had 100,000 people looking for work, and 80,000 of them is employed, so that means you have 20,000 unemployed. Now, if out of the 20,000 you remove 4,000 from the workforce, it looks like your percentage is 16, when in actuality it is 20. This government must stop playing games with the intelligence of the people. They may be able to fool some of the labor rights, but generally, Tim, they cannot fool all the people of St. Lucia. It is reflected in the social and economic review. These are not my words I'm giving you there, Tim. These are the words that are there. So I want St. Lucia to pay careful attention to what is being said, what is being presented, and I tell you that budget is a gimmick. I heard a lot of things, Tim. I don't want to take too much time, but I want to assure St. Lucia that what the Prime Minister said there, the things that he said that are good, I applaud it. But why are you going to cap the price of fuel until January? Is it because we expect election this year, Tim? So,
but I think it's until July, if memory serves me right. The cap is until July.
January? The price of fuel is capped until January 2026.
Okay,
and
let me check my notes.
Of things are time sensitive. You know how I read this thing?
No, it's until July. It is until July. It is from May the 1st.
Next year?
Yeah, May the 1st until July 2026.
July 2026.
Yes, 2026.
And when is the election due?
July 2026.
Okay. So it still has the price of fuel from that time. Okay, I don't want to tie the hands of a new government, but a lot of the things are not the Prime Minister. They are time sensitive. Tim, did we hear anything about the $4,000 salary being tax-free?
I don't think he spoke about that, no.
He did, but wasn't that a manifesto promise? I can tell you.
Yes, it was.
I think it's on page 9 of the Labour Party manifesto and number 11 and of the items on that page, if my memory serves me right. So, Tim, I want St. Lucians to pay careful attention to what is happening. Election is around the corner, so this is an election budget. It sounds more like a manifesto, and I agree with those who have said this. But, Tim, there's a lot to decipher, and I know in the coming weeks we will give you some very revealing information about this budget. In fact, this budget is expected to collect an extra about $90 million in taxes on the people of St. Lucia over what was collected last year. And we have said, and when you see the borrowing state, I want the leader of the opposition and the member for Choiseul to make their presentations in the parliament, and then the opposition will begin to discuss the budget and present the facts to build up on what is going to be presented in the parliament. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You just heard there from former government minister, Mr. Guy Joseph. Still to come on this, the most monitored talk show in the world. Somebody says we have two of everything.
KFC is bringing the flavor and the vibes with the Jazz Box. Just $30. Get one zinger or big crunch sandwich, 5 undipped wings, fries, a biscuit, 15-ounce drink, and a shot at VIP Jazz Weekend for 2. Buy a Jazz Box at any of our 5 KFC locations. Write your name and number on the receipt and drop it in the entry box to enter. Draw takes place May 7th. VIP tickets for May 9th, 10th, and 11th could be yours. Available now till May 31st, only at KFC St. Lucia. Dine in, drive through, or order online at kfcslu.com. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service offices at the Carolec building in Sans Souci and VA4 are temporarily closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Cantonment office in VA4 is now open on a limited basis, offering all services except payments. The Rodney Bay office remains open to serve customers. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. Sure Pays online and walk-in service options or participating financial institutions. Payments made via Sure Pay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. will be processed the next business day. For account balances, please dial the automated account inquiry service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at www.lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by these closures and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
It's the Tile Thursday specials. The sale you've been waiting for is finally here, happening this Thursday at the Tile Gallery. Whether you're renovating your kitchen, bathroom, or updating your entire home, don't miss out on the chance to save big on high-quality tiles that will elevate any space. Mark your calendars for Tile Thursday specials, the last Thursday of every month. You can save up to 50% off on selected tiles. Located at M&C Home Depot in Sunville. Hurry in! These amazing deals are in-store only, and supplies are limited, so be sure to grab yours while you can. Remember, Tile Thursday only happens once a month, so don't miss out. Visit the Tile Gallery this Thursday. See in-store for details.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Stop. How much more pain can you take? Back pain, blinding headaches, numbness, weak knees, spinal injuries, stroke. You've tried everything. Nothing works. Enough. La Clinique du Corps has the experts and technology to diagnose and fix the problem permanently. Our specialist doctors use cutting-edge solutions to treat back pain, knee pain, sciatica, stroke recovery, spinal injuries, arthritis, heel pain, and more. With advanced pain management techniques, we provide fast, effective relief so you can live pain-free. La Clinique du Corps is an approved universal healthcare service provider in St. Lucia, accepting all approved insurance. Take back your life. Call La Clinique du Corps right now at 451-6559 to book your appointment. Pain stops here.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Butey. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
On Sunday, May 4th, it's a party under the pitons. Soufre Jazz, the ultimate experience. MTX Band, Sly, Arthur Allen, Rebel 7, DYP, Former Nappy, Cohen Dubois, T-Vice, and headliner Busy Signal. Party with us, dine with us, for Soufre Jazz, the ultimate experience. Tickets are only $150 each. You can choose to elevate your experience at our VIP village for only $400 EC. The best value for money, the best vibes, and the most exquisite location. Tickets available from the Cell Outlets, Island Wine, SRDF office in Soufre, and www.fourcirclestickets.com. Sunday, May 4th, Soufre Mini Stadium. Soufre Jazz, the ultimate experience.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world, NewsSpin, on our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. And we are also on Power 97.9 FM. So very often we boast about having 2 Nobel laureates. Well, a politician says we have 2 of everything. And that individual is the United Workers' Party candidate for Miku North in the upcoming general election, Elisha Norbert.
We have 2 incomplete hospitals. We have 2 incomplete horse racing tracks. There was one for the locals built by the base, and there's the DSH2. We know horse racing is important. We seem to have an interest in it. Both of them are there, incomplete. We probably have 2 different plans for the airport. We have 2 different plans for the police force and who should be commissioned and who should not be. It's like the division is taking us nowhere. Nowhere. Sometimes I wonder whether we could fix our ministries too. And these are questions I want to ask, and I need to get to the right levels to ask them. If it's possible to fix our ministries. So we know we established we have 7 ministries as a nation, or 8, and we fix them. So every 4 or 5 years, you don't have to change ministry, change paperwork, change office. Then wait, there's a disruption in this. We have 2 incomplete hospitals. We have 2 incomplete horse racing tracks. There was one for the locals built by the base, and there's the DSH2. We know horse racing is important. We seem to have an interest in it. Both of them are there, incomplete. We probably have 2 different plans for the airport. We have 2 different plans for the police force and who should be commissioned and who should not be. It's like the division is taking us nowhere. Nowhere. Sometimes I wonder whether we could fix our ministries too. And these are questions I want to ask, and I need to get to the right levels to ask them. If it's possible to fix our ministries. So we know we established we have 7 ministries as a nation, or 8, and we fix them. So every 4 or 5 years, you don't have to change ministry, change paperwork, change office. Then wait, there's a disruption in this.
Elisha Norbert, the United Workers' Party candidate for Miku North in the upcoming general election, speaking earlier today on the program, made the opposition on Rev Up St. Lucia. The realignment of ministries every time a government changes, that comes with a significant cost to you, the taxpayers. And what Elijah is saying there certainly is something worth implementing. A small country, 2x4 St. Lucia, with limited resources. Every time a government changes, then you have new ministries. The Ministry of Community Development transforms into the Ministry of Social Transformation. And then we have a Ministry of Youth one time, then a Ministry of Youth Development, and changes here and there are new offices and new permanent secretaries. We are the ones who are paying for this. And what he's saying is, can we just have, for this 2x4 nation of ours, 7 ministries that would take into consideration the various areas of economic development and the various services that can be provided or should be provided to the people of this country? But you know what? You need to have 17 government ministers. And therefore you need to create ministries. Social transformation can look after the disabled in our community. But no, let's create a ministry for persons with disabilities. It's a facade. And it's coming at a tremendous cost to the people of this country. The politicians do not have to foot the bill. They don't care. They really and truly do not care. Let me prove that to you. The passports moved from $80 to $250, and from 10 years to 5 years. And people were complaining, $250, I can't afford it. But listen to what the then Home Affairs Minister said in defending the government's decision to increase the cost of a passport from $80 to $250.
I had to defend the cost of the passport, not just about government has to raise it. I said the passport will cost $250. That works out to $50 a year. And it works out to less than $4 a month. And it works out to about 13 cents a day. So, because people were arguing that how will the poor man be able to purchase a passport at this cost? I had to defend the cost of the passport, not just about government has to raise it. I said the passport will cost $250. That works out to $50 a year. And it works out to less than $4 a month. And it works out to about 13 cents a day. So, because people were arguing that how will the poor man be able to purchase a passport at this cost?
And that's the then Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot, speaking in July 25th of 2022 at the launch of the new e-passport. Let's break it down according to her. $50 a year. Kisa, that's nothing. $50 a year. Less than $4 a month. And less than 13 cents a day. There's a former U.S. Senator, Mitt Romney, a millionaire. And he engaged in a debate with someone, and he placed a bet. And he said to the individual, I'm betting you $10,000 that I'm correct on this particular issue. I'm betting you $10,000. Now, the ordinary man in the street in St. Lucia, his bet is what? Because I bet to $6. Now bet to this dollar. So $50 a year for the Home Affairs Minister. What's that? That's nothing. Pocket change. And $50 a year for the ordinary man in the street is a lot. We'll hear from the then Home Affairs Minister again, when people again were clamoring and complaining, why move the passport from 10 years to 5 years? This was an explanation. Briefly.
And for how many years we have been having 5-year passports. But people are complaining that why not 10 years? Because of the increase in prices. And they ask why this exorbitant increase. And I had to tell them that the passport that cost $80, it should have been $150 many years ago. But government decided to subsidize the passport. And at this point, the nature of the passports that we have, it is one that requires a very sophisticated instrument which carries that cost with it.
I heard now our passport will be
10 years?
Move from 5 years to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I passed by the UWB convention last month. Andre, was it last month?
Before March?
In March, yeah. And one of the resolutions that were moved there was that they will return it to 10 years. I see the Labour Party has adopted that. There are other ideas they're adopting from the UWP.
Just so they're from Spider, again speaking on the Meet the Opposition program on Rev Up St. Lucia earlier today. And before him, you heard from the former Home Affairs Minister, Dr. Virginia Albert Poleon, speaking in July of 2022 at the launch of the e-passport. 4522979. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you, NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Timothy.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you, caller.
Well, Timothy, I don't even know where to start, but I'll start somewhere today.
Don't tell me anything. Don't tell me anything about Galboape today. Eh?
No.
Okay.
Today I'm coming down to talk something serious with you all. The Flabo, the other thing they say if they win or whatever, they will bring back the passport to whatever, and 10 years and them kind of thing. Now I hear in the government now, the Labour Party saying right now they go change it around, now they go bring it to 10 years and they go do all this. That's what them tell something. Them first tired of taking us, we, the poor people, taking us for a ride. The Taiwanese people are giving us all the money to do how much things in St. Lucia? How much things? They got Kabila Airport. But they could walk with them in tongue, tell them what they want that done, they want that done. That minister running there for, that minister running in Mikuli for, that King Stevenson King running there for. That's really, really, really a joker, you know, that Labour Party. A joker that there. And they think we're stupid, we're not saying. You're in Parliament talking all kind of nonsense. Tell us about the CIP money. How much passport that's selling? We're asking this question, not now. We're hearing all kind of thing in the Caribbean, how people Trump getting bad on us, all kind of thing, because the people want to make sure that their border being protected. They don't want anybody to come in their country. Backlash had happening to us already. People denying visa. People denying entry. And you're not talking about this thing? Huh? That Easter, the place poor, no money, nobody really have nothing. The place getting poor, the place getting poorer of the poor. It's so easy. Poorer of the poor. And you go into court and say, oh boy, justice was being served. Yeah, justice was being served. And you're saying you was never there? Because that's ridiculous, because I really upset and I listen to that man there talking that budget there now. And lies alone that comes in our mouth. Lies the same thing. Yeah, big house supposed to start somewhere down in Cultisac, new housing thing. He and the fellow run against thing. Guy. Yeah, Mr. Richard Frederick. Oh, we have housing coming up for the poor people who are selling the gas. Wait. Election coming again. Wait. Man, it's a shame, man. These people, as a Labour Party, who just resign, man, and just give Alan Shastey back to run the country, Gaza. So I see it. Have a good afternoon, Mr.
Good, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Amanda, good afternoon to you again. What is happening in the chat room?
A few comments from Elliot Tim and NewsSpin says, and after he spoke about the airport, he went on to talk about roads and other projects, and then he would say he is not biased. Another comment reads, no need for excessive loans. Let us keep using our limited resources in a responsible way. No need for billions of dollars on an airport terminal. A NewsSpinner says here, he stopped our airport and went to Dominica to cut a ribbon for $1 billion airport. Another comment reads, why would the government want to take away investment opportunities from Strathspur and St. Lucians on St. Lucian soil, but give the impression that they are interested in locals investing in the economy? This does not make any sense, and the government needs to take another look at their policies on this matter. We need to create generational wealth for the people in this country. Someone says their investigation into the briefcase is the biggest joke. What investigation? Please don't waste time waiting on a non-existent investigation. A commentator reads, caller, that's a very good point. This government has just taken monies from the Taiwanese for their community projects, but asking questions about their involvement in the airports. NewsSpinner says here, did the Prime Minister tell us how much money has been collected to date from the Health and Security Levy and how it has been used? The comment reads, Tim, this is a 50-cent government because the gas price is $16.50 and capping it now at $16. This is so embarrassing to the public. While other countries in the OECS, gas prices range from $12.50 to $13.95. Once again, trying to fool the innocent people. Someone says there, at the rate government is going with making everything private. By the time we wake up, we will have nothing left in this country to lay claim to. Unfortunately for most of us, those people responsible for that kind of rash decisions will not be sharing in our pain because they would have amassed enough wealth to live in any other part of the world where life would be a lot easier. We need to open our ears, eyes, and everything else capable of opening. Commentary reads, Tim, the Prime Minister said in his budget that he will remove import duties on all price-controlled items. I have 3 questions that I want him or the Minister of Commerce to answer. 1. How many items are on the price control list? 2. What is the process for the exemption of import duty as a country? And 3. Can the Prime Minister on his own or as a country remove import duties on their own? Another commentary reads, okay, I read that already. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you so much, Amanda. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Yesterday, the leader of the opposition called this broadcast. We had an exchange. And in light of the goodies in this budget for the people of St. Lucia, he has warned, expect a backlash.
I can say to you categorically, without any fear, that what this budget presentation proved, and hopefully many more people now will start seeing through it, is that if Labour Party by chance is re-elected, there's not 100% chance. There's a 1,000% chance that this government is going to increase taxes. Because in order to give services and goods to the people of St. Lucia, you need revenue. You need revenue. And so government can only get revenue really from 2 ways. Well, 3. You can go and beg outside, but we now see, you've seen it, Tim, right? The British, the Canadians, Europeans, and the Americans are cutting aid. So there's no more persons to go and beg for money. So the 2 remaining ways is either you grow the economy, you put policies and programs in place so that the economy can grow. And in the case of St. Lucia, that is primarily allowing the country to compete globally, which means you have to reduce costs and improve efficiencies so we're much more productive. You have to grow the economy. And that's been something that's been very difficult for the Labour Party to do. The second way is to tax people. And that's what they do. Tax and spend. When they give you in one hand, all solutions be prepared. And that's why the saying was, solutions, watch your bread. Because once they give you something in one hand, start running. Because the other hand is coming to take it out of your pocket. And we've seen it in the last 4 years. And this gimmick that the government has come up with, which is contrary to the policies that they've been implementing for the last 4 years, is just a gimmick to fool people.
Leader of the parliamentary opposition speaking on yesterday's NewsSpin program. Somebody says via WhatsApp, both sides' accountability is out of the window. Politicians believe they can fool people. Only some can be fooled. And that was a WhatsApp message. Let's see if we have another message. The Prime Minister has not identified how he is funding the budget. And let's see if we have a call via the landline at 4522979. Somebody says, Tim, does LASPA have an issue servicing the debt currently? One only has an issue with debt if it cannot be serviced. This idea that GPH will pay the debt of SLASPA as a plus is total nonsense. GPH and their associates will be the biggest beneficiary of this secret deal. And another WhatsApp message. Politics is a trick so systematic and the poor never benefit. Only rich is getting richer. Okay, WhatsApp message again. Somebody says that tell the Prime Minister carrots are for rabbits and the Labour hack will eat it, not the masses. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you.
Timothy, I listened to the government MPs slamming their desk in the parliament after Philip Pierce said that he's capping the gas at $16. And I wonder what is wrong with our people, Timothy. The price of gas in 2016 to 2021 was $13.50. And today, we are hearing government MPs slamming the desk. As Philip Pierce said, he's capping the gas at $16. Between 2016 and 2021, a barrel of gas on the international stage was $122 and we could have capped it at $14.50 to give the poor people a little breathing space when it comes to maintaining their families, the expenditure of the home. The former government could have done that for the poor people. Today, a barrel of gas on the international stage is about $61 to $62 US a barrel. And the government of St. Lucia, Labour government, is happy to cap the gas at $16.50 with inflation on the them, which is the VAT, the increased taxes. Timothy, and I am listening to Philip Pierre saying he loves the people. Which people Philip Pierre love in this country for him to do that kind of mischief to us? Which one, Tim? I don't know. St. Lucian, you are doing wickedness to your own self. Because there is no country in the world that likes government to put taxes on them and they rejoice in. I have not seen it. I have not landed in no country where people are excited about taxes. You cannot overtax an impoverished nation. That is a cause for disaster. And St. Lucians need to wake up. $16.50, you leave the gas at $16.50. There are no crises in the world. The only crisis that just raised its head there is Donald Trump with his tariff. 1650. Tim, when school reopened on Monday there, another problem that is there, you know how many people that was probably looking to see if that man would deduct on the gas prices. My God, and St. Lucian sit themselves there and helping the government push that country in a ditch. We have Philip here there. We saw Ralph Gonzalez coming out speaking about the CIP and a budget of $2 billion. $2 billion. The most critical industry we have left to get some money from is the tourism industry. And we are hearing the Americans and Mr. Martinez talking about where we are with that CIP fiasco. It's no more alleged, Timothy. Because if Ralph can come out and say these things, it's not alleged that the government of St. Lucia gave the amount of passports that Mr. Martinez said they gave to the Chinese, the Russian, and the Iranians. It's not alleged anymore. It's happening, it's going down. And Philip Pierre went in our parliament. He said he have a budget of $2 billion and not a word from that CIP thing. And St. Lucians, I'm telling you, that is the reason why they keep on heckling and preventing Mr. Shaskia from speaking, he and Bradley. They do not want you all to know the amount of passport that Ernest Hille have given away. And I will say it, Tim, these people have sold our country to China. That is happening there. The Chinese have taken over the Caribbean. And not a word from Philip Pierre. Philip Pierre, I know you know about what is happening there. You are the Prime Minister. There's no way you cannot know about these things. Your signature have to go forth on these things that are going on there. You are the leader.
Okay, caller, let's leave that for the William Peter Boulevard, okay? Because we have no evidence to prove that. If Philip here were to ask me to prove whatever you're saying there, I'd have no evidence, right, to corroborate the allegations that you are making. In the chat room, somebody says, lady, if you own a car, you are not poor. Now, that could not be. I mean, that is so ridiculous for somebody to make that statement. Lady, if you own a car, you are not poor. So many poor people, struggling people, they managed to come up with amount of cash, a little $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and they don't know how they're going to maintain the vehicle, pay the insurance, etc. And it's because they want to be taken from point A to point B, primarily as a result of working in the hospitality sector, when they have to work until 11 o'clock and maybe even later and so on. Safety is an issue for them. They have to take their children to school. They're just hoping that by having the vehicle, they will be safe, they'll be able to take care of their family and do certain things, and along the way, hoping that, they will get a better job, they will have the resources down the road as a result of having a vehicle. And sometimes, you have a job, you should have a vehicle to go with it. So the fact that people have a vehicle does not mean that they are poor. And that is the fact that they have a vehicle does not mean they are rich. And that is an absolutely ridiculous that was made by this Victor C. Anthony in the NewsSpin chat room. Totally foolish and ignorant statement that was made by this individual. Still to come. You remember Rick Wayne yesterday saying something about Prime Minister of SVG breaking bread with a particular constituent in Mayo. That's one of the islands of St. Vincent. Well, we have the evidence to prove this in just a moment as we continue with the most monitored talk show in the world, NewsSpin.
On Saturday, June 14th at
as the island ignites at Lumina. Taking over Project Chocolat, Mikal Teja. Mikal Teja. Mikal Teja.
Out in New York City. If you're here, she ballin'. I need a little rundown.
Alongside soca sensations Ezra and Slide. Backed up by the electrifying Elf Band. Music by A1 Juggle. Secure them DJ Sir Lancelot. Powered by Island Sounds. Hosted by MC Donoville. Tickets $130, no door sales. Get yours at the Cell Island-wide, Mambo's Bar in Soufrière, or online at 4circlestickets.com. On Saturday, June 14th, Lumina. From 7 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Dress code Caribbean chic.
Lucelec wishes to advise customers and the public that its customer service offices at the Carolec building in Sans Souci and Vieux-Fort are temporarily closed to facilitate urgent maintenance. The Lucelec Cantonment office in Vieux-Fort is now open on a limited basis, offering all services except payments. The Rodney Bay office remains open to serve customers. Customers who wish to make payments during this closure are encouraged to access the My Account service at myaccount.lucelec.com. SurePay's online and walk-in service options or participating financial institutions. Payments made via SurePay and My Account Direct on weekdays from 8 to 4 p.m. will be processed to customer accounts the same day. Payments made after 4 p.m. the next business day. For account balances, please dial the automated account inquiry service line at 457-4433. Customers can access other Lucelec services by using the virtual service desk at www.lucelec.com. The management of Lucelec deeply regrets any inconvenience caused by these closures and thanks its valued customers for their patience and understanding.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
St. Lucia, are you ready for the ultimate all-inclusive?
Chalet Blanc, the all-white event. Tier 1 now available at Frontline Ticketing, Digicel Baywalk Mall, 4 Circles Ticketing, or WhatsApp at 240-344-8629. A musical journey curated by the best local and international DJs. St. Lucia Carnival Saturday, July 19th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At Sanders Golf and Country Club, Kappa State.
Look something to talk about.
Unlimited. Drink, brunch buffet, top class entertainment.
Stay tuned. This event is powered by One Golden Fox and Natalie Events.
Stop. How much more pain can you take? Back pain, blinding headaches, numbness, weak knees, spinal injuries, stroke. You've tried everything. Nothing works. Enough. La Clinique du Corps has the experts and technology to diagnose and fix the problem permanently. Our specialist doctors use cutting-edge solutions to treat back pain, knee pain, sciatica, stroke recovery, spinal injuries, arthritis, heel pain, and more. With advanced pain management techniques, we provide fast, effective relief so you can live pain-free. La Clinique du Corps is an approved universal healthcare service provider in St. Lucia, accepting all approved insurance. Take back your life. life. Call La Clinique to call right now at 451-6559 to book your appointment. Pain stops here.
Open up to savings at MNC Home Depot and Sunbelt. Happening now. Enjoy 15% on all windows and doors. Upgrading, renovating, or building. We've got the perfect doors and windows for your home. Now is the perfect time to save on that home renovation. Choose from stylish casement windows, sliding windows, wooden or metal doors. Hurry, this deal won't last long. Get 15% off on all doors and windows. Terms and conditions apply. Visit MNC Home Depot or Sunbelt today.
Still to come on this, the most monitored talk show in the world. We'll be seeing Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, enjoying bread outside the home of a constituent. And this certainly has been criticized by a famous NewsSpin caller. So all that coming up in just a moment. Let's see if we can take at least one or two calls, and then we'll have a final report from Amanda regarding some of the comments in the chat room. 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Somebody says that every NewsSpin I hear my fellow St. Lucians crying out in pain because of the SLP. How can the MPs not feel saddened by the cries of the people? How do they go to be at nights feeling good? Awatin. I'm not a politician, and I can feel and hear the hurt in the callers' voices, and it touches me. Let's take a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hey, Tim. How you doing?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Okay, I'm talking to you from Canada, right?
From Canada?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
This is so stupid. Being honest, I was born in St. Lucia. I'm from Castries, I'm from the drug boys. But what is transpiring here, everybody is talking about, this is not about politics anymore. This is reality. St. Lucians are suffering. This has nothing to do with UWP or SLP. St. Lucians are in trouble with the SLP. SLP government are in power and they don't know what they do. PJP know that. It doesn't matter if you come with, how you call it? They come with the budget and all this bullshit. This is not working. Canada going to have elections on the 20th of April. I'm voting. I already voted. I voted for Liberal. I voted, but this doesn't matter. St. Lucia are in trouble with the passport thing. And PJP don't know how to control the passport. But St. Lucians don't understand. The supporters don't understand the passport thing. The passport thing, when they did it, Ralph Gonsalves just spoke about it. But Ralph Gonsalves was smart, he didn't do it and whatever. St. Lucia did it, Antigua did it, Dominica did it, St. Kitts did it, and whosoever did it. But the passport thing it wasn't a scandal. It became a scandal. I'm trying to be slow. And Rick Wayne is saying, so when Rick Wayne is talking, people don't understand what Rick Wayne is saying. They say, oh, Rick Wayne is a UWP or he's a SLP. Timothy is a SLP. It has nothing to do with Timothy. It is just the government went in the wrong way of doing it. They went in the wrong way of doing it. But they could not do it different because the other Caribbean countries was doing it. PJP came into it, honestly, I'm not talking about federal. I don't want to talk about that. Honestly, they came into it and he saw it, and now they bring it in black and white and say who black and who white. This doesn't make sense. The country is in problem. I was born pastors. I'm a drug boy. I'm living in Canada for 37 years. But I know it is not making sense. The only thing you have to do there now is just work out and just try to make this thing a problem. Make this thing work. This thing can't work again. This thing has to get out.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much. Calling from Canada. Appreciate your contribution. Have yourself an enjoyable day. Let's see what's happening in the chat room. Amanda.
Tim, just a few comments from me. And NewsSpin says, look now, BMAX and Galaxy contracts have been cancelled. Affordable housing is never going to take place under this administration. Another comment reads, the other thing Philippe Pierre said in the budget is the continuation of the local housing projects. Will it be the same BMAX financiers or will there be new financiers? And NewsSpinner says, for someone who is not your husband or even your boyfriend to decide to take over your debt, the benefit from this arrangement would have to be exponential. Let's see if there are any more comments in the chat.
In the meantime,
room.
somebody has a WhatsApp message. I see the budget as dangling a carrot in front of the donkey. And somebody says the St. Lucian suffering. Really? See how many people will be on the road for Carnival where is and is $500 and up. Stop being red and yellow. When Flambeau win, they coming and put all them things Pierre put. We need to stop being blind. The people in St. Lucia too hypocritical. You saying no yellow, we'll have a family benefiting. Stop it. Another WhatsApp message. Somebody says there, that is so sad. We need a debate between the SLP and the opposition before the elections. Another person says, capping fuel at $16 per gallon is as ridiculous as capping the murder rate at 80 murders per year. Another WhatsApp message. The price of gas this week over in St. Croix says there, regular $4.69, premium $5.19, diesel $5.79. Do you have any more comments in the chat room, Amanda?
Someone says our team SLP keeps saying PPP means we will not pay for the airports. They refuse to touch on the fact that we actually going to be foregoing meaningful contributions that is being collected by SLASPA at the moment. Another commentary reads, hello to everyone. Just want to say that it is sad that many of us as Caribbean people are still very ignorant, selfish, small-minded, and even gullible. Worst of all, these are usually the first ones to speak and the loudest voices. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you so much. A final update from Amanda. So it was yesterday we heard from Rick Wayne and saying that, those politicians, they are still in the Stone Age, practicing the old politics of just going out there and campaigning and doing ridiculous things just to win a vote. Let's listen to what he said yesterday, and he will put it into context.
This morning I was watching Ralph Gonzalez. Did you permit me a little time there? I'm watching a clip of Ralph Gonzalez sitting at an obviously poor person's home, and I say poor person because of the way the lady's dressed and so on and so on. And Ralph Gonzalez, who is obese, sitting on a chair there, chewing away at a piece of bread. And the same thing we go through here is around the Caribbean,
Mama's bread.
Hi, Mama.
Hello. I'm hearing.
You don't need butter with this.
Don't need butter with it at all. I here the most exquisite view, looking at the Caribbean Sea from my room. This is the mother of Marion the Great, Marion Isaacs, and Owen the Great. We spoke to Owen a short while ago, and he's the man who held the security together on the island.
After the storm. And his mother makes the best bread.
This side of the equator.
This morning I was watching Ralph Gonzalez. Did you permit me a little time there? I'm watching a clip of Ralph Gonzalez sitting at an obviously poor person's home, and I say poor person because of the way the lady's dressed and so on and so on. And Ralph Gonzalez, who is obese, sitting on a chair there, chewing away at a piece of bread and I mean, the same thing we go through here is around the Caribbean, you know.
Mama's bread.
Hi, Mama.
Hello. I'm hearing.
You don't need butter with this.
Don't need butter with it at all. I'm here at the most exquisite view, looking at the Caribbean Sea from my room. This is the mother of Marion the Great, Marion Isaacs, and Owen the Great. You know, we spoke to Owen a short while ago. And he's the man who held the security together on the island.
After the storm.
After the storm.
And his mother makes the best bread.
This side of the equator.
It's lunchtime, so I'm heading to get Mama's bread anytime from now. That's the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, NewsSpin. My name is Timothy Poleon. Goodbye.